Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for weatherweb.net. It's a look ahead video today on Wednesday the 9th of December. Thanks for watching. Now there's total rainfall through until Monday, so the next 5 days ahead, and some uncertainty to the exact details, so take the numbers on this chart with some caution. But with rain spreading in from the southwest and becoming quite persistent, looks as though it's the south of Ireland, areas up at the western and southwestern side of England and Wales particularly, maybe not the southwest of England, but across Wales particularly, where we've got the greatest threat of some heavy and prolonged falls coming in. So could be anywhere from 50 to 100 millimetres of rain over the hills in those southwestern approaches of Britain and Ireland. Elsewhere, looking as around an inch of rain may get towards central and eastern parts. The southeast likely to be nearer to the 10 millimetre mark, likewise north and northeastern Scotland. Much smaller amounts of rain here, but further falls over western Scotland looking likely. Now this chart is the temperature trends and the rainfall likelihood over this next 2 weeks through till Christmas then. That's centred on the Midlands, but trends pretty similar over much of the country. We've got mild temperatures at the moment, that dropping off as we go over the next couple of days, and then something a little bit milder again into early next week, but not quite as warm as it has been recently, so hovering around nearer average December values, and then looking as though milder temperatures back towards double figures, maybe getting in towards the 18th or 19th before taking a bit of a slip as we head through that week leading up to Christmas. Rainfall looking as though it's coming through pretty frequently this next period, and even rain coming through on the chart further towards Christmas, but the model by that stage getting a bit more vague in its details. Just so run through the 500 millibar charts then from the GFS model, just going forwards over the next 10 days or so, and this always giving us some useful trends, even where the surface charts don't pick out the details. The higher heights, effectively warmer air and higher pressure, lower heights, cooler air and lower pressure essentially at the surface. So we'll run through the details. A strong jet stream then indicated at this current stage. This is overnight into Thursday. Strong jet stream by the close proximity of the contour lines on the chart, so still very much affecting the British Isles. Run that forwards then, and that situation into Thursday stays very much the same. A strong westerly flow across the country. Just notice out in the Atlantic towards the west of us though, but it's of small troughs just trying to cut themselves off towards the south, and that's crucial then for the weekend development. It's a very complicated pattern trying to evolve towards our southwest. A low pressure system, a lower heights field just trying to trough itself in the southwestern approaches. A lot of uncertainty just how that one behaves, and a complex system spreading in from the southwest. So all rather a messy picture through this weekend, so just want to keep a close eye on the details, and the fast forecast video will give you the very latest information on these next few days. Running that forwards into early next week, certainly a trough across the country at 500 millibars on Monday. I'll just stop the sequence there. You can see the trough then in this sort of zone there, so effectively low pressure somewhere in here at the surface, but trying to get a ridge built out in the Atlantic, and this feature here, essentially a ridge in the upper heights, and quite a strong trough digging in again towards the west. So moving that on into the early middle part of the week. This is Tuesday now. That ridge trying to build towards the north, the trough trying to situate itself towards the east, and I think low pressure still across the country on Tuesday, but high pressure towards the north trying to become more established. So that around Wednesday, I think a lull in conditions as pressure just builds temporarily as that ridge pushes through, but look out in the Atlantic and it's still a very much troughed out affair, and areas of low pressure going to be forming somewhere in here. Strong jet stream coming off the States, and that feeding into the system here with cooler air masses coming down from the north, warmer air masses coming in from the southwest over the Atlantic. So to skip that on towards the end of the week, I think the situation is likely to be that high pressure shown towards the southeast is gradually becoming eroded from frontal systems, and mild wet and windy conditions from the Atlantic spreading in, which continue to push their way in. The main question mark is going to be how quickly they get in towards that weekend. I think the period around the 17th to the 20th just threatening to become fairly unsettled again. Mild temperatures on the whole, I suspect, by that time, with the flow coming up from the south-southwest, but northern and western areas once again maybe in the firing line for areas of fronts and rain coming in pretty frequently. There's a situation from the GFS, and bearing in mind the further ahead we go, the lower the confidence is of the absolute details, so take it with somewhat of a pinch of salt, but there's towards the 21st of December. And I'll stop that at that point with a generally very strong southwesterly flow across the country, so looking fairly mild, but quite a deep trough digging in well towards the south, and colder air piling up towards the northwest, so tantalisingly poised as we head towards the Christmas period. Looking mild almost all the way right up to the lead up, but colder air towards the north and northwest of us may just be trying to develop in time to swing southwards. So one to bear in mind, and just as that whole system evolves and pushes its way through, it may start to pull down some something a bit cooler from the northwest as we head into that Christmas period proper, but a long way off to get absolute certainty. So really calling any details for Christmas and that Christmas weekend a long way from certain at this stage. And just to see if there's any backup from the models, this is the European ECMWF ensemble model. This is then for the 19th, so while we're looking that far ahead towards the 19th and the 20th, the pattern looking fairly similar. South-southwesterly winds in place, low pressure, low heights towards the north, high pressure, high heights towards the south, so mild air sweeping into Western Europe again, and the focus of wind and rain and weather systems looking to be towards the northwest of the British Isles. Could well be that the south and southeast, again, as it almost has been in many recent weeks, avoids the worst of wind and rain coming in. And while we're at it, have a look at the Canadian model. There's for the 19th again, just backing up that story, and a pretty decent agreement then on all the models at that sort of point. This is the operational run, so a bit more jumpy in its detail, but it shows a trough towards the west, a ridge out across the south of the country, and generally mild southwesterly patterns getting in, and a bit more keen to build high pressure though towards the south. But that's all for today, and various things to keep an eye on here over the next few days and weeks, and we'll do that here at weatherweb.net. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.